Alright folks, welcome back. We are back for more Last Epoch. Last Epoch 1.1 Harbingers of Ruin is going to drop July the 9th. That's a Tuesday, which is a little bit different day than they usually drop their big parties and the last cycle, of course, 1.0. But we have a blog post to talk about. Now, originally for most big parties, EAZ has done a hype week every day. Just they were dropping a little bit of information for us. But this time around, they are changing their system, and they're gonna be dropping two very big blog posts with a lot of information on them for us. The first one dropped yesterday, and we're gonna talk about it in a little bit. I'm gonna give you my thoughts and what you should be expecting, what you should be preparing for. And the next one is gonna drop next week, and a few days after we're gonna have the big patch notes that we are expecting for 1.1. Now, if you do enjoy videos like that, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content and to help me grow. Let's get into it right now. Alright, first thing that we're gonna be talking about is the evade roll. Evade roll is a new movement skill that will be available to every character, all classes, all masteries from level 1. It's basically a movement skill that will be bound to space by default, but you can change your key binding as you wish, and you cannot slot this on your regular skill bar. It will be a separate thing, and it is a movement skill that has 2 charges and has 4-second cooldown to start with, but it gets more cooldown recovery rate at level 100. It will be 2-second cooldown for its charge, and there are of course some other things implicated that they might be changing its functionality through uniques, but we're gonna talk about it in a little bit. Evade roll is not immunity. You will normally be taking damage just like normally when you're going through any skill that still can hit you while you're moving. It's just something that gives characters a default movement skill, so they are not forced into using one or specializing in one. So it's gonna be a very good thing for everybody. It's gonna open up some builds a little bit more, because nobody wants to play a build without a real skill for movement. Of course, the traversal skills that we have, they're still gonna be superior, they're still gonna be better, they're still gonna be faster, but here is how evade rolls. It's not gonna be granting you immunity, so it's not anything insane, but it's gonna be really good for a lot of characters, and especially the early parts of the campaign when you don't have your traversal skills, or you don't have enough cooldown recovery rate to make them really good. As you can see, it's gonna have 4 seconds cooldown, as I mentioned, and we are getting 0.5% increased cooldown recovery speed per character level. So it will be dropping quite a bit in cooldown. It will not be affected by the cooldown recovery rate on your items or anything like that. They have also given us a couple of new uniques and one base boot here. This is basically increased cooldown recovery rate for evade. Now, this pair of boots, I don't think it's gonna be used very much in my opinion. It has only +8 armor. This is very low, so in endgame it's gonna hinder your defenses very much. But maybe some builds want to use something like that if they do things with evade. We also have Flight of Kujiri, which is a unique pair of boots, and this is basically an amazing, incredible leveling item, especially if you find it with LP and add even more movement speed. It's gonna give you haste after you're using evade or traversal skill, more haste effect, more cooldown recovery rate for Fury Leap and evade, and +1 evade charge. So after level 13, having 3 evade charge, that means that you were gonna be rolling all around. And we also have a new ring here that it is pretty impressive. I really wanna see what kind of effective level 4 legendary potential this ring has, because the overall stats are really good. We have a lot of attributes. We have increased armor, which is really good and fairly rare on rings. And we have swiftness. Now, swiftness is the ability from leads that gives you 1% movement skill per kill. It lasts 30 seconds and stacks up to 10, so basically 10% movement skill during echoes. But because I have been tracking down questions on the Discord for the devs, They have said that swiftness from the Reaper form of leads will be changed, and I'm not sure if this is gonna be the same swiftness here on the ring or we're getting something new. They haven't released any more information about it, but we'll see. Also, this ring is replacing Evade by Summon Crab. We do have combination that you can only summon one crab. I have no idea what that crab will be doing, but we'll find out all together in 1.1. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Boss defenses. So right now there is a dynamic damage reduction mechanic that is kind of hidden in the game for bosses. Because it's getting removed, I'm not gonna go into a very high detailed analysis for it, but if you don't know what it is, basically bosses currently in Last Epoch, once they are getting a lot of damage in a small amount of time, or very big hit at once, they are getting some damage reduction that is higher and higher based on the damage that they just took, and that a lot of times makes you have very different kind of numbers on your DPS on bosses. That was mainly the reason of the dynamic damage reduction mechanic that existed. Now, this is getting removed completely, so basically we're gonna have our full DPS on a single target for bosses, and we are getting an entirely new mechanic. As you can see here, the life bar of the bosses will be replaced and will look like that. So basically what we have is a couple of breakpoints here. All of the bosses in the game and some mini bosses during the campaign and stuff like that will have this kind of life bar. The breakpoints mean that when you do damage to hit that breakpoint, the boss will get a new ward bar that will be approximately 75% of the maximum hit points of that particular monster or boss. Now, this of course is it could change, but Mike on the Friday developer stream said that it is currently 75% of maximum hit point of the boss, and you need to chip down this ward bar so that you can still you can once again do damage to the health bar, right? Now, different kind of bosses will have different amount of breakpoints. As you can see here on the example, this boss has 3 breakpoints. There are gonna be bosses with 4, 5, maybe even 6 or 7. We don't know exactly yet, but we know that they're gonna have different breakpoints. So this is gonna be a pretty good system. We're gonna get our full DPS on our bosses now, and also one extra mechanic that they are adding into the ward bar of the bosses. It's gonna be entirely different from the players right now. The ward decay on bosses will be dependent on how much time basically the ward bar has existed. So while you're chipping down the ward bar, the ward decay will also become higher. So if you have a slower, lower DPS single target build, the ward decay from the seconds that are passing through the fight will help you chip down that ward bar and get back into the hell bar damage. Now, I have asked the developers and they have confirmed as expected, but I want to have confirmation for you that endurance from the monolith modifiers will not be applying the damage reduction on ward just like on players. So we are good there, because if that would happen, if a boss had like 2 breakpoints on their endurance threshold from the monolith modifier on endurance, it would be incredibly hard to chip down 2 full ward bars of 75% of maximum hit points of the bosses. So that's really good there. It's a nice system. The old system had a lot of flaws. A lot of people didn't know what exactly was happening to their DPS when they were going into bosses, why they were seeing different numbers. It was not intuitive and it was not really good for a lot of builds. We should have a little bit better luck now with single target for a lot of builds that previously they kinda lacked because of how they work. We'll have to play with it. It is a nice first system, and I'm guessing that if it needs a couple of tweaks, ESG will do those in a jiffy. Now, let's get into the content that we are actually getting with the Harbingers of Ruin 1.1 cycle, aside from the core game changes that we will be getting in that cycle as well. So we are getting Harbingers and Forgotten Knight, which is a new faction. We're gonna be talking about them all together. And also we are getting a new Nemesis system, which is probably one of my favorite things already for the cycle. So I'm gonna be talking about that one lastly. So the Harbingers are basically new bosses that you need to fight in order to progress your Forgotten Knight faction. So let's get into the faction first of all, so that you can understand what I'm talking about. So we have a new faction. This will be entirely separate from the Merchants Guild and the Circle of Fortune. We still gonna get the choice between Merchants Guild and Circle of Fortune, as we did in the previous cycle in Majasa. When you reach at that point, you can choose your faction and start leveling up. Forgotten Knights though is a different faction. You will have direct access later on, I believe, after the campaign, when you get into Southern Road. And the most important part of this is that you don't have to farm any kind of reputation, ranks, stuff like that. The ranks come from killing the Harbingers themselves. There are 10 Harbingers, each one for each timeline that we have in the Monolith of Fate, and you will be finding them during your progression while you're progressing Corruption. And once you kill one of the Harbingers on the timeline, you will be getting one rank. You need to kill at least once the Harbinger of its different timeline. So basically you need to delve into all 10 timelines and kill the Harbingers there, so that you can get the maximum rank of Forgotten Knights. We do get some bonuses from those ranks. They're not amazing, but they're free power, they're free bonuses. We are getting, some blessings, rerolls, and other things. We're getting Harbinger unique drop chance and stuff like that. We don't have the information for all 10 ranks. That's just based on the screenshot that we have right here. But we're gonna be getting that information. That is not really important right now. More importantly, and something that you need to plan a little bit before 1.1, is that the Harbingers will also require some kind of corruption. As you can probably see in the screenshot, when it changes into the Harbingers right here, the last Harbinger right here requires 300 corruption, and the previous one was 275. That means that you need to have a little bit of a plan. My current assumption is that for the best of your progression is that you probably want to go in the timelines that you don't want to farm, you don't want to be progressing a lot of corruption and stuff like that, and try to find those Harbingers first, and then go to the timelines that you want to farm and progress your corruption anyway, and find the higher, let's say, level higher level Harbingers and corruption there, right? So this is gonna be a little bit of a system. Of course, we need to play with it and learn more about it. We're gonna be doing that all together in 1.1, but that seems for now. Now, Harbingers, the first time that you kill them on their unique timeline, they will also drop an item that is basically going to be opening the portal for the big Harbinger boss at the end. But in order to use that item, you need to progress to rank 10. Basically, you need to kill all different Harbingers in the corruption that it is needed. Now, the Pinnacle boss seems like an incredible, fantastic fight. We have a little bit of presentation here, and basically what's happening with this boss, you will be traveling in different seasons and different timelines, 4 of them to be exact, I believe. I'm not sure how often this will happen, or if it's based on how much damage you have done on the boss, some kind of threshold. We'll find out. This fight already seems fantastic, and from what the developers has said, it's also going to be pretty hard. Keep in mind that this fight will not be available to the offline and legacy cycles at the start of 1.1. This will only come after the Harbinger is dead. It's called Aberoth, by the way. And after Aberoth is dead, the next business day, they will release it to the other cycles on offline mode and legacy. Otherwise, if it is not dead by first week, it will be released on all cycles as well. Keep that in mind. This was something that EAZ has talked a couple of weeks ago. There was also a poll about it so that the community can vote, and it was basically unanimous. Like the biggest part of the community wanted something like that, so that the bosses are not trivialized, you know, by extremely equipped characters in Legacy or offline, and you know, the magic is lost. Now you get to experience bosses on your record, and you can also fight them with a character that you can actually progress. Check out the difficulty and have a little bit of fun. I'm really looking forward to this fight. It's gonna be a hard one. I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be really fun. Alright, apart from the keys from the Harbingers, that will also be a chance drop even after you killed the first one, of course, because that's gonna be the way that you get access to the Harbinger bosses. They also have the chance of dropping Glyph of Envy. Glyph of Envy is a new crafting material that we'll be getting in 1.1. It drops over 90 corruption, I believe, and it has higher chance of dropping from rare monsters and Harbingers. Now, this material is a little bit of a weird crafting material. So basically, what's gonna happen with the Glyph of Envy is that you will be choosing one affix, just like you do right now. It will increase its tier by 1, but it will unpredictably change the rest of the affixes, not the sealed ones, and also it will have a chance, I believe, to change the implicits on the item. So basically, you might have an opal ring, but it might become a coral ring. So this is something that we never had into the game. I'm not sure right now how good it's gonna be for crafting itself, but the main purpose of the Glyph of Envy is when you are using one of them, and you will be getting from the destabilization of the item, you will be getting a huge burst on the stability of the most recent monolith timeline that you have entered. And this is basically a catch-up mechanic for your secondary characters. What that means is that once you get with a secondary character and you have Glyphs of Envy, 7 to be precise, you can just enter a timeline for the first time. You will be using Glyph of Envy on one of your items, and because it's normal monoliths, it will maximize the stability bar instantly, so you can just go do the quests on that particular timeline and progress to the next. You can do that. It's for each of the 7 main timelines that you need to progress to unlock your empowered. So basically, with 7 Glyphs of Envy, you don't need to do any echoes if you wish so for your secondary characters, and you just progress through the quest of each timeline. You're grabbing your normal blessings, which is a really good thing, because normal blessings, even though they're not as powerful as the empowered ones, they're still free power for your characters, and then you progress into your empowered monoliths. Now, keep in mind that this will mean your characters going to be severely under-leveled. They might not have access to all of their items, so it is my advice that you do that on characters that you know, you have good gear, you have legendary items, and their power is much higher than normally is on their levels, and it's gonna be really good. It's a nice catch-up mechanic. I think it's gonna be fantastic. You can also use Glyphs of Envy on empowered timelines, and you will just get extra stability out of them. Now, apart from the Glyph of Envy, we also get the Harbinger's Needle. Now, we don't have exact information how where this drops. I'm guessing it's gonna drop from the Harbingers themselves, or maybe the Harbinger boss. We don't know yet, but we're gonna find out soon enough. Now, this is a very unique item, because it is going to be destroyed after you use it. So this is a small idol, so 1 by 1. And when you equip it and you kill a timeline boss above 9 corruption, basically on empowered monoliths, this will mean this will grant you 3 additional gauge of Aerobis. So basically, you will be getting 4 gauge of Aerobis for your corruption pushes with each timeline boss that you kill. Once you kill the timeline boss, this gets destroyed and you get your extra 3 additional gauge of Orobis. Now, I'm not sure if that 3 is a roll or it's just a flat value right there. We're gonna have to find out. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this item. At the start of it, I wasn't really excited because I've done countless of characters pushing corruption, and after 1.0 with the changes to the stability and the corruption bonuses from the gauges of the Orobis, basically the best system that you could have was to get 2, maybe 3 gauges, but mainly 2 gauges that would give you 20 bonus corruption from the gauges, and you would just kill an Orobis, reset your web, and get the extra corruption. That would net you about 30 to 34 or 36 corruption for each push. But the best thing and why this was so efficient for me is that after you push a certain amount of corruption, like 300, 400, what happens is until you find a good fight of Orobis with a base corruption of 10 and above, you will have enough stability to get 2 monolith bosses killed, and you will be getting your gauges, you will be killing your Orobis and progress your corruption. Now, they do say right here on the bottom that they are planning some kind of quality of life, basically some kind of change when it comes to gauges and corruption, when it comes to the Orobis fights. We'll have to see how this is gonna shape up. Maybe this is gonna be a really good item for pushing corruption at the end of times, but if just gives you the additional gauges and you don't have a good Orobis fight, you will still be getting extra stability. So it's a little bit weird. We'll have to see. It seems really good. It's a nice boost nonetheless. So we will be using them, and Mike also has confirmed that we will be able to trade them in the marketplace. Alright, let's talk about what is probably going to be my favorite mechanic for the next cycle already, Nemesis. Now, Nemesis is a new encounter system that we're gonna have during our echoes in the Monolith of Time. It's basically just like we have the Exiled Mages. Nemesis will not be spawning at every echo. There is a chance of that. We don't have information about how much of a chance, and if it increases with corruption, we have to find out that one ourselves, or maybe we get extra information later on. But the base mechanic of the Nemesis is that once you find the encounter, as you can see here, you will present it with a few items. Some of them might be unique, some of them might be rare. I'm guessing some of them will be exalted as well. And you are presented with a few options on what to do with the encounter. As you can see here, there is a red dot right here, and you can get another 2 red dots. We're gonna be talking about it in a little bit, just keep that in mind. Now, the what happens with the Nemesis? Now, one of the choices is banish. Basically, banish means that you're putting the Nemesis to rest, and you're not gonna be fighting that Nemesis, but you will also be not getting the items that they were presented to you. So if the items are bad, you don't need them, or the uniques they're not of use to you, you can just banish the Nemesis, and the next time that you encounter a Nemesis, it will have a different set of items. Now, straight up to the Empower. The Empower is pretty much the most powerful thing about the Nemesis, and with the Empower mechanic, you can use that twice on the same Nemesis, and you can get basically your items empowered through this process. The most important part that they have said already is that the items, the non-unique items that you are getting into the Nemesis can get sealed affixes, non-experimental sealed affixes, and they can rank up through this empowerment to 6 or 7. This is something that was never possible before. The maximum sealed affix tier that we had was tier 5, and that was only obtainable from the Soulfire Bastion Gambler at the end. Normally, you cannot seal tier 5s, of course, and you could only seal up to tier 4 at a very, very low chance of succession. Now, the thing is about this, that you know, the empowerment doesn't require you to challenge and kill the nemesis. If you don't like what you see after 1 or 2 empowerments, you can still banish it and remove the items there, and the next time that you are finding the nemesis, it's gonna have a new inventory for you. I'm not sure how exactly the the legendary potential will work here, but the base mechanic and what you're getting from empowering the items in your current nemesis will be increasing the affix tiers, the fortune potential of the items, so they might be much easier to craft, and the legendary potential, chance for legendary potential on your unique items. So it's a really good mechanic. It's gonna give you extra chances for looting, especially early on. This might be very good for early gear, but we'll have to see how difficult the encounter is. Of course, I'm guessing not that difficult, so that we don't get destroyed, but hopefully it's gonna be accessible to us fairly early, and it's gonna give us a lot of nice early items. One of the things that I'm very interested to see is that if we have a rare item presented to us, if you know, by empowering that encounter and tiers, affix tiers increasing, if it can actually become an exalted item as well. If that's possible, this is also something that we could never do before. So this is an extremely cool mechanic that we're getting into the game. And here's the kicker. Sometimes we don't know how common this will be. You can find Egg of the Forgotten as one of the choices presented to you on the items. So if you don't interact with the Egg of the Forgotten, basically it will just you know, change into a random unique if you kill the nemesis or you empower, and you will get just an extra item. But when you interact with the Egg of the Forgotten right here, you can basically replace it with a unique of your own, right? And that means that uniques without legendary potential and Weaver's Wheel, as you can see here, will be placed on your nemesis mechanic. And when you empower that nemesis mechanic, as you can see here, he puts the Helmet of Calamity. When you empower that nemesis mechanic, it has a chance of adding random legendary affixes into the item, or legendary potential. Now, I don't see any reason why. They haven't said anything, so we are not sure yet, but I'm guessing that you can do this even with uniques from boss drops. That means that some more rare uniques from bosses, or some of those uniques that have, you know, a lot of high rolls, and you want good rolls so that they're usable, you can put them there and get a chance for legendary affixes or legendary potential. This is something entirely new. It's gonna be a fantastic thing, especially for SSF, where sometimes you don't have access to a lot of legendary potential, especially on the more rare items, and it's gonna be incredibly powerful. We'll have to see, of course, how common it is, how easy it is. Don't expect, you know, 4 LP unique items out of it, but, you know, just putting a red ring there and getting a red ring with 1 LP is already a win. It's not something that you will easily be dropping, or a Twisted Heart of Eucharis that rolled fantastically but it doesn't have any LP. You can get there, you might get a nice legendary affix, you might get LP so that you can slam it on Zura. A lot of possibilities, right? This is definitely one of my favorite things about 1.1 already. You know me, I love my legendary items, I love slamming items in Jura, and this is gonna make it even more possible in the future. One extra thing that we're gonna talk. In 1.1, we are getting not 30 new unique items. Now, they have already hinted in the Friday's stream that we will be getting a lot more unique items. Yesterday morning I was guessing like 20 to 24, but we are getting 30 new unique items. We have 4 of them presented to us yesterday as a little bit of a teaser. We're gonna talk real quick about them. Now, I'm gonna start with the Quiver real quick. I'm not a rogue player, so I cannot really judge the power of this quiver here, face point. I'm gonna leave that to you for the comment section. If you are a rogue player, if you're not a rogue player but you're interested in something like that, please let me know. It seems like it has some different things and some synergies with dots, which most rogues do really love. But let me know, what do you think about the item. Now, let's get started with a two-hand mace event horizon. Now, two-hand maces, generally speaking, in Last Epoch, they're in a pretty bad shape right now. They don't have a lot of synergies with a lot of skills. They don't have a lot of good things going for them. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure how good it's gonna be in the grand scheme of things, but it gives a whole bunch of penetration for all resistance with melee damage. And you also get a stack of dilation every time you hit an enemy with a melee attack. And stacks of dilation gives you 15% more melee damage and 5% less attack and cast speed for them. Also 5% less movement speed. So basically it's kind of a mechanic for single target damage for the most part. It also has increased movement speed, which is fairly rare for weapons. It has more damage to slowed enemies, which is really nice, more damage multiplier, and the stacks of dilation are lost when you use evade. So there is a little bit of synergy. You control how many stacks you want to use. You control when to drop them as well if you wish so. So there are a couple of things that we talked on stream yesterday, like we had a suggestion, for example, for EQ Bear, but of course that one requires Bulgua Wrath. That's another 200 mace. But keep in mind that we are getting a huge rebalance on skill trees and probably also some of the passives on a lot of classes and masteries. It's gonna be insane how many skills are gonna be changed and get buffs, nerfs, whatever you wanna call them. But the main thing is that for example, the line for Bulgua Wrath, it could come into those skill trees of Werebear or Earthquake themselves. So something like that might be very, very useful to use with an attack that doesn't require you to cast it all the time, right? So there are some potential from the new rebalance. Right now, it doesn't seem fantastic, but we'll have to see. Wall of Nothing is a body armor. This one is a really interesting one. It seems to me that it's gonna be a very niche, unique body armor for some builds. I don't think it's gonna see a lot of use for one reason and one reason only. I believe that this item will have very high effective level for Red Snake potential because of this line over here. 12% chance to take 0 damage when hit. That is an incredible defensive layer for basically any character into the game. So I'm guessing that we are not gonna be able to slam a lot of affixes on something like that, because then it would just become meta for probably most of the builds out there. Other than that, it gives a ward decay threshold and endurance threshold, but most importantly, and this is the niche part of the item, it gives 70% of endurance threshold added as ward decay threshold. So basically, ward decay threshold is like an extra ward bar that is on the start of your ward, and after that, the ward per second, the ward generation, the ward decay, and the ward retention, they take effect after that. So ward decay threshold is a little bit of a cushion for your ward bar at the start of it. Of course, when monsters do a lot of damage to peel through it, it will be going down, but it is something that you can use on a lot of builds to have a much higher stable ward on your builds. It's a relatively new thing into Last Epoch. I've used it quite a bit on some of my builds myself. It is really nice if you get it without investing very heavily into it, and we might get even more synergies in the future. So this is a very interesting and nice thing about this unique body armor. I'm looking forward to try and get it into a build. And now the most hype unique out of the 4 that we've seen. Aberov's Command is a unique Obsidian Scepter. That's pretty important because Obsidian Scepters have the highest flat spell damage on implicit out of one-hand unique one-hand weapons on the basis. Void Cleave is now instant and is no longer a movement skill. Void Cleave no longer has a weapon requirement, so you can use Void Cleave with Scepter. Currently, you can only use Void Cleave with a two-handed sword or axe. Ravaging auras created by Void Cleave last an additional 8 seconds and they have 40% void penetration. It has an incredible amount of increased damage over time for 100 especially. 262, this is definitely gonna be a roll. I'm guessing up to 280 or 290, but we'll have to see. We cannot say right now. It has increased area for area skills. Ravaging aura is an area skill, so it should be affected by that. And we have the 13% extra void penetration as well. This is a very, very interesting item. Be certain that I'm gonna try to build around it for a Void Cleave, Void Knight build, whatever you wanna call it. We'll see what we can come up with it. Void Cleave, it's a fantastic skill. Unfortunately, it has some issues. One of them was the weapon requirement, along with a couple more. But Ravaging Aura is really, really fun, and we might be able to actually make it work even on higher corruption now. So I'm looking forward to this very, very much. We'll see in the future. Now, with this being said, I believe that is all you need to know about the first blog post of 1.1. I cannot wait for more news and of course the patch notes. We're gonna get a huge rebalance. This is one of my favorite things about any cycle and any big patches on ARPGs. Looking forward to it. I will catch you on the next one. Thank you very much guys for watching. Bye bye.